Hey everybody, this is Tyson.
And Logan.
And you're listening to Dad, Bods, and Beards podcast. It's a show that gives you a fresh look on being a father, a husband, and honestly, a man being in today's world.
For people who want to have a good time, laugh, and be uplifted, thanks for subscribing and listening. Now for the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dad, Bods, and Beards. It is just Tyson and Logan here in the studio today. We don't have a guest again, but these ones are kind of fun for me, kind of like reminiscent of when we were just, I mean, I'm saying this like we've been having guests on for months, but like...
We've had like 3.
Yeah. No, we had like 3 or 4 in a row, but these ones are fun. Like I like listening back to these ones like 4 or 5 times to get like the different social media clips, and it's fun. Like it's always like rejuvenating.
It's true.
Yeah. But I listen to them at like midnight, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, we're hilarious. But then maybe we're not as much.
And then I listen to it and I'm like, oh, my wife's going to be so mad about that.
But
like last one, we talked about me braiding butt hair.
Yeah, you do make.
And she's like, why?
Yeah, you make like back hair and butt hair comments a lot. There's at least 2.
So out of 59, 2 is a lot.
I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but it's a lot. But if you haven't noticed already, there's a little bit of a change. So let's just start over. If you guys haven't noticed already, there is a change. We are now going to be shooting in color. We bought more expensive cameras. No, we have got some new brand partners starting out. You guys have heard us talk about Mountain Ops a few times now. And because of our brand partners, we want to showcase the different products that they're giving us to talk about. And I mean, look at these colors. You can't
Plus, look at the bear.
Look at the bear. Huckleberry lemonade. I'll be
he's gonna be
I'll be a huckleberry. But no, so we are sponsored by Mountain Ops now, and we had Trevor Farnes on the podcast with us a few.
And we're going to be doing a lot of his shorts with him.
Yeah, so like
social media
a month or 2 ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now once or twice a week, you're going to see a couple of different some of the funnier clips on Dad Bods. You're going to see, including Trevor. Basically, the shtick is going to be he's a personal trainer trying to whip 2 dad bods into shape.
Well, what's cool though is so like they're giving us these to use. So like my family actually devoured mine. So this
the
is
Hydrate.
The Hydrate, which is just an electrolyte, and it has like magnesium and all the electrolytes that you need. But with cold water on a hot day.
Oh, and that's the pineapple one too. Do you know what I did?
So
this probably is very counterproductive. I put it in one of the the liquid death water that comes in a can. I put it in one of the sparkling ones.
Ooh.
It wasn't bad.
You
it
know
was
what?
Like a little pineapple soda.
My daughter actually will get a water bottle and put it in the freezer with that shaken out, and then it's like a slush.
Dude, we should make those in like the Ninja Creamy.
Oh.
Anyways, yeah.
But
so
anyway,
you've been using those. I don't sleep. That's nothing new. You don't sleep very much. Trevor gave me the slumber gummies, and basically they've got not just a little bit of melatonin in it, but it's something with the
chamomile.
Yeah, it's got chamomile, tart cherry concentrate, and hops extract with some melatonin. It knocks me out. That's cool. I've been having a hard time waking up, and then I use the Enduro to wake up.
Well, Enduro doesn't have caffeine.
Well, no, that's why it's not like I'm putting myself to bed with like sleeping meds and then waking up with Red Bull.
Well, no. So Candace and Lydia, my oldest daughter, they like to go work out like when there's no one around. Like I'll go work out anytime I can.
Yeah.
But they like to go work out at like 10 o'clock. And so when they actually use Enduro, and it's not going to keep them up all night, but they get the pump, they get everything that they want to. Dude, and it tastes really good.
So the cool part is, and we'll wrap up with that, is just that it's a cardio enhancement,
nitric oxide
without
the caffeine.
So you're not going to get the jitters. You're not going to get this awake all night if you take it before you go to bed.
It's a really good intro workout too. So like you're working out and you drink it it's like feeds your muscles with those.
But I've been taking those Slumber to help me get to sleep at night, and then Enduro to kind of replace the Red Bulls and stuff in the morning, and I feel a lot better.
You know what's really cool about this, and it's scary and cool at the same time, is Mountain Ops is going to have us on their landing page, and they're going to say, hey, they're taking this month, and they're doing like before and after pictures of every month, and just kind of showing us what we do.
On.
And I am it's really cool that we're going to have this like accountability.
Yeah.
But holy crap,
like, Mountain Ops is a big company.
Like they have hundreds of thousands of people going to look at it. I'm like, hey guys. We just
But-
body paint ourselves.
we just wear the shirts. They have
Those
like,
are not boobs.
we
Those
were-
are man.
we just go buy those shirts on Amazon. They're just like the screen print of like a guy with an 8-pack. But no, so the link is live. You guys go to mountainops.com. Use code DADBODS at checkout. You'll get 20% off. And one of the amazing things about Mountain Ops is that every purchase made on mountainops.com goes to providing a meal for a family in need.
It's true. I helped make 50,000 meals. I
Yeah.
didn't make 50,000, but I probably did 1,000 at
Yeah.
least. It was
So-
really cool.
This is the caliber of companies and brands that we like to work with, that they have a lasting, good-hearted impact on our communities. So check out Mountain Ops. They are not just a show sponsor, episode sponsor. They are entire brand and show sponsor for Dad
And they're
Bods.
good
So
people.
and good people.
That's why we chose to be
Yeah.
with them. Because we had options.
Yeah. So you are in charge of the episode today.
Yeah. So as we're in this self-help cake.
Self-help / self-hatred.
No. So like I said, we have really we're starting to evolve.
Yeah.
And we're becoming different people from where we started to where we are now, and we'll continue to evolve. And as we evolve, I've learned that, like today, I was on the phone with someone and I called you. I'm like, dude, I feel it, but I'm proud of myself because someone asked for money. Like a company did that's been helping me, and I got to the point where I had to terminate
Or
it.
the lack of helping you.
Yeah, so I paid a company to help for sales,
Mhm.
and no sales were created, so I had to terminate that contract and say, hey, it's just not working. I don't think it's worth it anymore.
But he still called to collect.
Yeah, and I'm just like, buddy, you're not worth it. Like, I got nothing. And he's like, well, I'll close this. And I'm like, a lifetime sell isn't what I'm even going to get paying you for 1 month.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's just not worth it. And I called you, and I'm like, I feel it. My people pleasing just wants me to call him back and say, it's going to be okay. I'll hurry and pay it. And then, but at the same time, I'm like, I told him the truth.
But the entrepreneur inside of you needed to.
Well, it's not just an entrepreneur. It was like, it was my truth. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to give you this money because it's not benefiting.
You had to put your foot down.
Yeah.
And that's growth.
And I was really proud of myself because a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have just figured it out and I had paid him.
Yeah.
And I just, not on a professional level, but just level. Like,
Yeah.
Me saying no is really unique, but it had to happen because even though I had like 5-10 minutes of just like despair, literally, now I'll be able to go home and sleep because I won't have to figure out how I'm going to pay this guy.
Yeah. Well, that's, I feel like since starting Dad Bods officially, and like we made an actual LLC and things like that, there's people and things that come out of the woodworks as soon as you register an LLC. The emails and like the mail that shows up of just the solicitations for days of everybody claiming that they can help solve all. I mean, dude, Shopify alone. I'm like kind of annoyed that Shopify gives out your info to everybody. Everybody. We get probably 3, 4, 5 emails a day of somebody, oh, I reviewed your shop and you suck. Like, we're brand new. Like, give us a break. But no, but that's, so I think you being able to put your foot down is huge.
Yeah. And
Because
so
it's a huge foot. Actually, what size shoe do you wear?
13.
I wear 12 and a half, 11 and a half. Same difference.
Actually, it's a whole.
I mean, I got very big feet for a little short guy.
Are they thick?
I wear I wear double E wides.
You didn't have to show me.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. So today, I really want to talk about 5 things that are going to help. 5 tough things that are going to help worthwhile self-care practices, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, what can I do that's tough and annoying, but also it's going to help you in the long run?
Yeah.
Because I think making sure that you're taken care of is just as important as taking care of everyone else. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, who else? Who else is? You know what I mean? Like, you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah. And this is a topic that came from the one and only
Dino,
which Dino is going to be Dino. Well, I forget Dino.
Dino's a good person.
Dino is going to be filling a need that we knew we had, but we didn't know how to fix it. Dino's going to help us start.
He's going to do an internship.
He offered us this really good deal, and he wants to pretty much take over and run the Patreon for us and actually make it a Patreon worth being a part of. So
he's going to make transcripts. He's going to do the things on our behalf. Even though we're going to approve it, we're going to write stuff, and he's just going to help us post.
Yeah, he's just going to help us pretty much keep up on it because there's been a few people that have signed up for it and have gotten practically nothing. So that's going to be really helpful.
When you're working a full-time job, have a business and doing a podcast
Multiple
and
full-time
family,
jobs.
it's rough.
Yeah. So big thank you to Dino for being such a huge supporter and help to the show, because now he's pretty much going to be officially part of the Dad Bods like production side of things.
So why do you think self-care is sometimes hard?
Oh, well, because everybody's so pessimistic when it comes to themselves. Like nobody wants to like lift themselves up, right? Because I say it all the time. You get mad at me, like, oh, this is gonna sound narcissistic. Oh, this is gonna
drives
sound,
me freaking.
This
bonkers.
is gonna sound kind of like I'm full of myself, or a little bit of a douchebag comment. Like, because it's like I have a hard time, even in my own self care and self healing that I've done, like boasting about or like lifting myself up, because
and you're not boasting, you're being confident. Like, you are good at social media. It is okay for you to say, like, you're like, I'm not trying to be, make myself seem better. I'm like, shut up. You're good at it, and it's okay to be good at it. You might be horrible at something else, but you're really good at that.
Horrible at a lot of things.
So am I. So what's really cool is, and not really cool, but as you get education and you go to school and all this kind of stuff, so as you get, like you say, your PhD, you go in there and you know something very, very, very specific.
Sure.
But then you realize, I know a lot about one little thing, but there's so many things to know. So the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And so the thing is, as I'm growing as an entrepreneur, as I'm going through all this, I'm learning that I know hardly anything. And I'm grateful that we have these specialists and these people who come on and just teach us, like Brock and Sean, about, I losing 1.5 million, making it up and knowing that where he is now, like, it's doable. Even if business is tough and you feel like it's hopeless, you are not alone. And so I feel like this self-care is hard sometimes, because when you're depressed, when you're anxious, when you're overwhelmed, what do you want to do?
You want to like curl up in a ball and go.
You don't want to be with anybody. You don't want to take care of anything. You just want to hide. And so sometimes self-care, like, we'll talk about it, but sometimes just getting in the shower is hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
And like brushing your teeth, or just like talking to someone on the phone. Like, how many people will this sounds really condescending, but how many people get phone calls from what are they called?
Like a collection
agency?
Oh, dude.
And I mean, I think all of us, and they just ignore it. And I'm like, no, I've had those calls, and I'm just like, it's so smart to just answer and say, hey, I can't do it, but I can do it this time, and we'll set something up.
Dude, I
quit avoiding it.
I ran from collection phone calls for years when I was struggling. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. When I didn't have any weird. I'm gonna say weird. I didn't have any addictions or vices that was taking all my money, other than like spending it on food to feel better. But I wasn't making enough, and I wasn't being honest with my wife. That, hey, my sales job with my my $30,000 a year salary that I'm trying to support a wife and 2 children off of, like, I'm not making any commissions, but she doesn't know that. And we're trying to live in California off of 30 grand a year, and I'm pulling money out of who knows where. And so there's a lot of things that weren't getting paid. And so I was getting collection calls for days. Trashes your credit. It takes years to rebuild. And yeah, dude, I ran from those. And you feel like 2 inches tall when you get that collection phone call. But the thing is, the reality is, I'm realizing that everybody gets those phone calls. Everybody's a part of the same, like, we're all part of the same community. We all have different levels in our fights and stuff like that. But like, some of the wealthiest people out there, like the wealthiest people, they've had those phone calls because it's a reality of the situation. And unfortunately, this is one thing I had to do. I know we don't need to like talk forever about collection phone calls, but just to kind of like relate a little bit. One thing that I started doing when I finally got into a place where I could start handling situations like that is I made that person on the other end of the phone, whose job is to not make it personal, I made them like make it personal. Like, I would share real details about our situation and like kind of like make them have a little empathy of kind of like, I know you're just doing a job, but this is the best that I can do. I can't promise you I'm going to pay this off in a week. I can't promise you that. Like, I've got a wife and kids and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, you can call me all you want, but I will take care of this when I can take care of it. Instead of just like getting mad and getting angry. Like, they're just doing a job. So I like showed them some respect, and then they started showing it back. And I still have a couple of medical bills. My son was an emergency C-section that he almost died. That's a big bill. I'm still paying on that one.
Hattie was in NICU for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
NICU is not cheap.
Yeah.
And I remember when we paid her off like 2 years later, I'm like, We own our daughter.
Yeah, my daughter was in the NICU. But that's what I'm saying is that like the time period that I was making these phone calls and setting up these payment plans and stuff like that, I had to level with the lady. I'm like, look, I got mental health struggles that I'm finally coming out of. Like, we almost lost my son, and I was like, this is that bill. And I was like, so this is a very traumatizing bill for me. I was like, so you're gonna have to just work with me. Some months it's gonna be $50. That's what the payment's gonna be. And then there's times where social media panned out a little bit better. Like, I can make a bigger payment, but like, don't beat me up over this, or I will ignore your phone call because I can't. I'm not gonna like. It's trigger avoidance, right? So I think self-care is being honest with yourself too in those situations, because ignoring things helps you ignore the like it just helps you like ignore your own feelings too. Like, ignore a problem and you ignore the feelings that are associated with it.
And I know. I'm sorry I brought up collection calls. It just
No, that's everyone has those.
Yeah, and it just sucks. But that's what I mean though. Is there you come to a point where it's just like you just kind of hide and give up. And so these self-help care, these self-care practices, like I said, just the basics of just getting up and getting in the shower and taking care of yourself and being presentable is hard.
It is very extremely hard.
And you know, as I've seen personal people in my life who go to hospitals and go to these places where they have to get in the shower every day, and it's hard.
Oh, you mean like a recovery centers?
And stuff like that. So it's just yeah. What side note? A little funny and a little embarrassing. I'm dying from COVID, literally dying. They basically.
You need to preface that you were, not are.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I was dying from COVID. It was during the Delta variant when I
Yeah.
got it. I was I went in because I couldn't breathe. Like I couldn't even make it from the car to the ER. I had to stop, and they had to wheel me in, and they thought I had a pulmonary embolism because I couldn't breathe. My oxygen was that low. They put me up to ICU. I was in ICU. Basically, I told my wife I was not very coherent.
Yeah.
Hey, Tyson, or your husband, we got to talk about this. Like, what are you going to do when, like, are we going to put him on the ventilator and try to prolong his life, or are we just going to let him go? All that kind of stuff. Basically, say goodbye to your husband. And
it's nuts, dude.
They tried an experimental drug that had never been used before, and it worked.
Yeah.
And within a couple of days, so we're just talking about showers. This has nothing to do. But anyway, the nurse comes in after I'm starting to feel better. He's like, so you probably want to get in the shower now. I'm like,
You stink.
Sorry.
You stink. That's funny. That's funny. But no.
But anyway, we'll get into it. So
Okay.
The first one is exercise.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think it's exercise is not just for people who have depression, anxiety. It's hard for everyone.
Yeah.
Until you get into it. So why do you think exercise is so important? And then why is it hard?
Well, I mean, we've all been on the kick, right? We like when we did 75 hard. We're not promoting 75 hard because there's a lot of controversy around that at the moment too. But when we were like super like disciplined with it or whatever, we were always like on a high, like talking to each other, whatever. It gets the blood flowing. You feel good about yourself. Like you get your endorphins pumping. Like you get the juices and the chemicals in your body that don't normally go flowing. They get moving, and you feel good. That's why there's a guy on social media, slightly toxic, but his name's Papa Swolio, and he's the guy that comes on the camera. He's literally like long Fabio.
Oh,
hair,
that guy?
Long Fabio hair, jacked.
Get in the gym.
Yeah, and he spits out water, and he's like, "Go to the effing gym." That's his shtick, and it works, and it motivates some people. That's cool. He also makes some derogatory comments about dad bods, so we're not friends. I'm just kidding. But it's
We're like, go to the gym.
yeah, we're like go to the gym and buy a snack and watch something on the couch. But no, like there is just, I mean, that's irrefutable. You can't argue that exercise makes you feel better on the inside, because everyone always says, I mean, freaking Robert. We talk about Robert every freaking episode. It feels like, I mean, it's intoxicating.
So I've been going to the gym for 2 weeks now, or 2 weeks, 2 months. And
I'm not doing anything when I get there. I'm just going.
I'm just going.
I'm just kidding.
Just staring at everyone. I have binoculars. I'm on the treadmill, just looking at
Sir,
everyone.
can you please leave?
I have like the opera, the opera ones. I'm hello.
Oh,
No, but I remember going on level 3, the first day there on the stair stepper, and I'm looking at fat burn. I hit fat burn, put my weight in, time 10 minutes.
Sure.
A minute on it, it slows down from 3 to like 1. So I'm like, done. done. And my heart was like 180. I'm like, holy crap.
And meanwhile, in your brain, you just hear feed, fall.
No, and so, but now I'm at level 6.
Good for you, dude.
And I did it 15 minutes. My heart rate only got up to 118. And I'm just like, do I need it?
I love the Stairmaster, dude.
Yeah, but what I mean, as I spit all over you, what I mean though is like, I feel so much better. Not like physically, I feel better. Like I don't feel like so bloated all the time, but I feel more confident.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And I feel like I can achieve something. And so not only does it help me like I still have a dad bod. I still am sexy. but it's just like I feel more confident. I feel like even though you can't really tell a difference, I can feel the difference.
One of my favorite times when I was really consistently going to the gym, it was walking out, because I'd either go really early in the morning or really late at night. So it was always walking out after and like the cool air, because it's either cool morning air or cool night air. It was just like walking out. You still got that little bit of like, you're still a little bit warm, right? I'm like, that always made me feel, that was like the rush for me. So, and now that I'm working with Brock, and Brock has me running for 20 minutes a day before he'll let me get into weights.
Yeah, that's me too.
So
mine's 30. 15 Stairmaster, 15 walking on incline.
So I'm getting back into the exercise aspect of it right now.
And then that's my first dance move too for my next TikTok.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is having difficult conversations.
Oh, we do that all the time.
We talk about it quite a bit too.
Well, we talk about having difficult conversations, but I feel like difficult conversations are when you maybe have to have a conversation with somebody that is not as open to the conversation that needs to have. Maybe?
Well, I'll read this. It says, tricky but needed conversations are easy to put off or try to avoid altogether. Still, the damage inflicted on relationships by missing these talks is immense. By the way, this is by Jennifer Gerlach, Beyond Mental Health. Yeah. It says, what might have started as a tiny issue in the relationship can snowball into one that feels insurmountable. The sooner we can have these conversations, the more likely we're able to resolve conflict and strengthen the relationship.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to what you were just talking about. It's kind of like you ignore the problem and then you act like it's not there. It's potentially only going to get bigger. So
what I think for me personally is you and I have talked so much about having the tough conversations with our wives, with business partners, not business partners, but business relationships.
General, yeah.
I want to point this out is having a tough conversation with ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Because I think, you bought a 20-foot whiteboard.
the whiteboard keeps getting bigger.
I have a 2-foot one. You have a 6-foot one, really?
Yeah. It's like 6.5 feet long.
It's so big. And then I have this little baby one. And, but write goals and say, okay, like when we're talking about 10x by 2x rule, is like, I'm in the gap, right? What that means is I have an ideal outlook in life. Like I have this goal. I feel like I should be here right now.
Yeah.
I'm right here, but this is where I started. So instead of being grateful where I am, instead of being, oh man, that was a huge win, I'm so happy for this, I can't get happy for it because I feel like I should be right here.
Sure.
And I feel like I need to have that conversation with myself, which I have many times, but just saying, hey, this is a big win. This is okay.
Yeah.
You know, and just because this is your goal doesn't mean look how far you've come. Like right now I've lost 35 pounds.
Good for you, dude.
And I'm like, and I look in the mirror and I'm like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? My boobies are still droopy.
Yeah.
but so stupid. But I've lost 35 pounds.
Yeah, dude.
Why can't I be happy about that? And so I got to get out of this little gap that I'm in and be able to take the wins. And if I do that, the depression, the anxiety will still be there, but not as bad and not as hard.
Well, we talk about it all the time about the little guy inside your head, this jerk, right?
So true.
One thing that I did, and I haven't done it consistently, and I want to do it more because it made me feel better, is I gave ChatGPT a prompt of, like, I said, I want you to pretty much make I don't know, not a mantra, like make something that I can say to myself, like from myself, to make me feel better about some things. And I gave it a list of things that I'm struggling with anxiety wise. And I said, you know, from the tense that I'm speaking to myself, like write out something that I can say back to myself. And I started reading that. So obviously it doesn't know like how I speak, but the mind trick of it is me speaking to myself. It made a big difference. So it's almost kind of like affirmations, you know?
I love that a lot. And I think that goes along with the third one, which is facing things we don't want to admit.
Yeah.
Because that kind of goes along with it. Is like we're having the tough conversations with us, but if you can't admit to yourself, admit to others that you were in the wrong or what you're doing is actually detrimental to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the big one, is facing the things we don't want to admit.
Mm-hmm.
Self-deception is an almost universal phenomenon. None of us are always honest with ourselves, even if we do our best to do so. Yet the weight of what we don't face, the shame and fears we carry, only grow in time. Taking time to face these things through reflection and sometimes therapy can be at once painful and liberating.
Well, yeah. Nobody likes to look themselves in the mirror and say you're falling short here.
Yeah. It's 100% like, but have you done any meditation with Brock yet?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I did one the other day.
Yeah.
And it was, it was like going back to like one of the, like your most painful times. And I had to like, what's this voice saying? What's that voice saying? And there I am crying in the parking lot because I'm in my truck doing this video, session with Brock. And, yeah, it was like same thing, like processing guilt and forgiveness and things like that.
And see, I think half the time, like I did one and I'm like, Brock, I had to turn the camera off. I can't have you have my eyes closed knowing that you're staring at me. He just laughed and I did it. But there are certain things that I had to face that I didn't want to admit to myself. That certain things are I feel guilty of, or certain things I didn't realize that I had trauma or those experiences created pain in my life. Like I thought, like, how did that come up? Like, really, we were talking and all of a sudden he's like, what's the first thing you thought of? And I told him, and he's like, I'm like, I don't know where that came from. He's like, because it's a painful moment in your life. I'm like, what?
And then what was his response after that? We were talking about these things.
It's what I did with the last post I did with Simba.
Yeah.
Remember who you are.
Yeah.
that what was it that I said?
Yeah, it's in the past. It's Rafiki from
but then I said, embrace your pain.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Like it's okay. It's part of who you are. And understand that you learned from it. But you are strong enough to live your strength or live your trials, live your pain, live everything like that, because you lived through it. You're strong enough. Like we were talking about my business, Coffer John's, and 2 years ago, I couldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to grow immensely because of the hardships that I had to go through each and every day to get to where I am.
It's one of the biggest and hardest lessons that I had to learn. Stop looking outside yourself to save yourself.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because
that's a shirt right there.
Everybody is always looking for something to fix their problem or to blame or whatever. And this is not like some cheesy, toxic, like suck it up, don't listen to the inner wuss voice or whatever. Like, no, like you are the only one that can have the impact on your life that you're looking for. You are the only one that can have the impact on your life that you're looking for. Other people can affect you, but you're the only one that can literally change your life. And this is not victim shaming in any way or shape or form.
No, but this is exactly what you were talking about. Like a sick puppy, you put a sick puppy in a healthy pack and it's going to be healthy. So if you want to stop smoking or you want to stop drinking, you're going to have to, like the 10x by 2x I was telling you about, you're going to have to get rid of 80% of what you're used to in your life. So you're going to have to stop going to those parties. Oh. You're going to have to stop hanging out with those friends. You're going to have to stop going to those stores that make you want to buy that.
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to stop drinking.
You've heard, if you want things in your life to change, you have to change things in your life. Like, we could sit here and write a book on quotes of like, oh wow, that's really good. But the
implementing is hard.
But the implementing is really hard to take something that is like very well said. But like when I said, like you have to stop looking outside yourself to save yourself. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, talking about medication, and we're gonna have a whole episode on medication and just the pluses and minuses and things like that, just based off opinion, not entirely, facts and things. not based off facts, just opinion. No, but basically the conversation is like
your experiences.
Is the conversation I had with this individual was basically talking about that we I think as a society and as people and things like that, like we're literally bombarded with quick fixes. Get rich quick, get out of debt quick, do this quick, do that quick,
Why?
get
That's why
skinny.
credit cards are
Yeah,
so big.
get skinny quick, get healthier quick, all of this stuff. But in reality, like, it takes regular, consistent action and discipline to change things in your life, and that the only person who's going to be capable of doing that is yourself. Because when I used to rely on other people in other situations to try to better myself, like to better my situation, they're working on those people are working on their life as well. Like, they don't, like, you're never going to get the same, result that you're looking, like, you're never going to get the result that you're looking for if you're relying on somebody else to give it to you or to do it for you.
Well,
Because
you
you're
have
not
to do
gonna-
it yourself.
You're not going to have that interchange to keep that going. So, like, for instance, like, I'm not like slamming anybody, but it's like, like, I used to go to certain people in my life to help handle my financial situations, right? And until I, like, and this was obviously like in very much more mentally sick stage or whatever, right? And so, like, until I started taking accountability for the things that I was doing, putting myself in some of those situations, some were out of my control, 100%. Some were 100% caused by me. And until I started taking accountability for those situations, instead of, like, believing the excuses I was giving people, that I'm in no way, shape, or form rich,
Yeah.
but it was the personal acceptance and the personal accountability that, like, then it changed. Okay, I need to approach this very differently, because it's helping me, not only see the mistake, but how to maybe help myself climb out of it a little bit more, or take some more accountability. Well, that makes sense.
No, it does. I really like that. Doing things we don't feel like doing is the next one. And
Everything.
yeah. No, but it's true. There's like so I remember there was a professor that it was a world religion class. It was like the coolest class ever.
Yeah.
Where you take a class and it talks about every religion in the world, and when you listen to it, you're like, holy crap. 99% of everyone's religion is basically the same.
Oh yeah, dude.
Just
Yeah.
different name. Anyway, but that we're
Theology,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's a
like
fun
everyone,
rabbit hole.
but it's just a different name for a little thing. But the belief and the core beliefs of everyone's beliefs are so similar.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, how cool is that? It's just like, too bad it causes so much strife. But with that being said, the professor once said, I want my kids to be proud of that I'm their dad. And I try to, I've ever since then, I've tried to be that dad. So he was giving an example of, like, it's midnight, they're on vacation, they were at the beach, they're at the hotel now, and the daughter's like, I forgot my sandals, Dad. And the first thing that came out of his mind was, I want my kids to be proud that I'm their dad. He got in the car and went to the beach and scoured the beach until he found the sandals. And it's things like that. I'm not saying, like, do that, but I'm saying is, like, there's things in our life that we don't want to do.
Oh yeah.
Like, go to work. There's days where it's like, I just want to stay in bed. There's like things like that, but there's things that we have to do because we're in charge of other people's lives. Like, we have to provide for them, we have to help them, but we also have to provide and help ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't want to go to the gym every day, but I'm going to because I know it's going to help me mentally.
Yeah.
Physically, it's helping me, but mentally, it's helping me even more.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that collection call, but I know if I ignore it, it's just going to build and build, and the interest is going to build, and I'm going to have stress over it. So if I take the phone call, even though I don't want to, we're going to figure something out, and in the long run, it's going to be a lot better than it is if I ignore it.
Yeah. Here's another quote for you.
Yeah.
We've said this one before. The magic you're looking for is found in the things that you're avoiding.
Oh.
Right. And the magic meaning, like, a little bit more security, a little bit less stress, a little bit more fulfillment, things like that. Those come from accomplishing those tasks that you're avoiding. And it's like, you're super stressed about that collection call that they keep calling. Well, if you answer it and you have that authentic, real conversation with them, like, it'll alleviate a little bit of that stress, right? Or the same thing of, like, there's things that we do for ourselves, and then there's things that we do for other people. Like, for instance, my wife's love language is acts of service.
Mine too.
If I don't consciously think of doing something for her, like in like putting myself in her shoes, like, I'm like, doing the dishes before I go to bed because I'm a night owl and she's not. Like, I may be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal or whatever. But when she's getting up early in the morning, getting the kids breakfast, getting them ready to go to school and out the door because she also works full time, but I left an hour and a half earlier for work, like her coming down and seeing the dishes done in the kitchen a little bit more straightened up than we left it after dinner, that's going to mean more to her than it does to me. And that's, you do things for other people. And then
Why can't the tushy squeeze be an act of service?
Because that's your love language.
No, it's an act of service. I'm doing this for you.
No, that's her act of service, letting you do that for you. Yeah. No, but then there's things that you do for yourself that are back to what we're talking about, which are self-help and which are self-care situations, which is like no joke. When I was really struggling with things and I used to go in the parking lot by myself and cry and eat food because whatever, I had to replace that with something. Like, you can't just cold turkey things that were like coping mechanisms, right? Like that. I started going to movies by myself. Like, I would go to movies by myself periodically. Not all the time because that would get expensive, but like I would like, oh, that's really weird. No, it's not. It's not. It was a self-care situation. Mm-hmm. It made me feel a little bit better about myself. Right. And then,
you want to know something funny?
What?
Because this is on topic. So, it's so stupid, but it's true. So, I was working a sales job and I really, really wanted to see Twilight.
Shit, I love Twilight, dude.
Yeah, but I really wanted to see it. So, I went during the middle of a day to go see it. While
you're supposed to be at work?
Yeah. And by myself to see Twilight. And there was like 30 women in there and me.
That's funny.
I was so embarrassed. I was in the corner hiding.
Dude, one time I lied because same thing. I had a job that I went during like an extended lunch break or whatever. And I was supposed to be at work, but I went because I needed the mental break, right?
Mine is I just like the books.
Yeah. Well, I love Twilight. I read all the books. I went to see a movie one time. I don't remember what it was, but this one guy who was like at the concession stands or whatever. He was like, "Are you here by yourself?" Which I'm like, that's not a weird question. I'm sure you see people here all the time.
Yeah.
And so like I freaked out and I panicked or whatever. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I do independent movie reviews." It was like, it made me feel better about it. He's like, "Oh cool. What's your review site?" And I'm like, "I.com." And I'm like, But that's it's a situation where like find something that is like relieving for you, whether it's a walk or whether it's going to the gym or like if you're a movie buff or if you're a gamer, like you map it out. Don't get obsessive with it or things like that. But like you were saying, like if you got an addiction or something that you're battling, you can't just cold turkey something.
We talked about what Jordan Peterson said about pornography. Mm-hmm. Dead serious. He's like, you're looking at it 4 times a day. Winning is looking at it 1 time a day. Yeah. You want to eventually be to 0, but you have to improve. You can't go cold turkey. Your body won't allow you.
And self-care envelops so many different things, which is like addiction battling or coping mechanisms or just how you treat yourself so that other people will treat you better too. Mm-hmm. The thing is you have to find these positive self-care situations or self-care actions that make you feel better about yourself. And sometimes there are things kind of, we'll talk about this one in a minute. Is like there's some things that almost are necessities that people neglect because it's hard. Mm-hmm. Right? It's hard to do. It's hard to accomplish because you feel so terrible about yourself.
It's true. Let's talk about showering.
Yeah.
So they say sometimes self-care is a trip to the salon or a day at the beach. Other times it's a conversation we've been putting off and visit to the bank. Self-care is not just about the things that immediately make us feel good. It's also about those tasks that maintain our physical, emotional, social, financial, and spiritual health. Mm-hmm. For someone who might be dealing with depression or grief, what we might be up to can vary significantly from day to day. Self-care on some days might be taking a shower or walking a single lap around the block. Navigating what we need and pacing ourselves is part of a long-term journey towards overall well-being. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like just like showering is a tough self-care activity for some people.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like everyone always says like, "Oh, I just need to go home and take a hot shower." Or someone says like, "Oh, I need to go take a cold shower because, maybe you're just a little bit too hot in the gym or somewhere else. And you need a cold shower, you need a hot shower, whatever." There's the psychological aspect of just getting clean physically, right? Or just the rejuvenating feeling of just like hot water. And
not to be like, there's a lot of people who start buying the ball wash. from Copper John's, and I get so many people just say it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Like, because it makes their skin soft. It makes it like it just clean
Yeah.
and
Well,
smells good.
shameless plug for Copper John's is one of the main reasons why I use literally, like, I'm not kidding. Like, you know this. I use the shampoo and conditioner. I use the bar soaps. I use the different face washes. I use the ball wash. I use the deodorant. I use all the beard care products, because when you're walking out and you feel and you smell good and you feel clean like that, it improves your overall.
Well, that's the whole
like,
thing, is be proud of who you are.
Yeah, your self-confidence. And to that point, I view people that maybe struggle with hygiene differently than I used to.
Oh, 100%.
There was a time period where I had a roommate that really struggled with hygiene. Super good kid. And I don't know if there was some, mental health struggles or maybe other struggles or whatever, but he didn't change his underwear very regularly, or would put the same ones back on if he did shower. And as a 20-something-year-old kid, I was like, that's super gross and super judgmental about it, right? But now I look at it of like, man, he might have really been going through something, or maybe didn't have the knowledge or the understanding that maybe that wasn't very hygienic. It doesn't matter. I had come to the realization later myself through my own lack of hygiene situations because of my depression and anxiety, things like that, that changed that perspective for me. And I still deal with the repercussions of it to this day. Hopefully down the line, as things maybe go better for us, this might be a chance for a sponsor. It's a major insecurity for me. I'm like actually having a hard time talking about it. I mentioned it to you the other day. I have major dental problems because of my deep, dark struggles. I could not get myself to brush my teeth on a regular, healthy basis. I couldn't. I don't know what it was. I could not get myself to brush my teeth. And it sounds really gross coming out of my mouth thinking about it, but it was like this stuck in my head of like this super tiny menial task that everybody does 2-3 times a day. Like my wife brushes her teeth like 3 times a day. Like anytime she's like eating something, she'll like get up and brush her teeth in the middle of the night if she has like a weird taste in her mouth. Like there was time periods in our marriage where my wife would be like, did you brush your teeth today? As an adult with children, that is a hard question to be asked by your partner, by your wife. And I lied to her at times because it was like this self-confidence issue. And this like, I was like really insecure about it because I didn't. But I would tell her that I did. And I'm like, she's my wife. She can smell my breath. Like,
yeah,
it was like really, and like I've had molars extracted, like full molars, bottom, very important chewing teeth extracted because they were decayed because of mental health struggles. And I didn't take care of myself. I'm not blaming myself.
No,
but that's what I'm saying is the reality of the situation is like mental health can manifest in the smallest of things.
Is that why you eat so many bananas now?
I don't eat a lot of bananas. Yeah. I got no. No, I still got some. Got some good chompers, but it's like it's the ones that, or like when I did brush my teeth, it would just be kind of the front, to like. Dude,
I'm teasing. I'm sorry. I was just
no. I will say this. I know you do. You was kill the mood. But this is the thing.
It's getting serious. Make a joke.
To get even a little bit more deeper, real quick on that is that I would go to lengths at times of just getting my toothbrush wet and putting it back in the holder, because I was afraid my wife was checking if my toothbrush was wet. And it just
would have been so easy to brush. And that's how hard it is.
That's what I'm saying. If like of all of the hard things that I do and did do at that time, I couldn't brush my teeth. Couldn't. It was like a mental block. And so then I had to do what I started. I developed a habit that I brush my teeth in the shower, and I still do to this day. I shower every day. So I brush my teeth, like I brush my teeth in the shower. So like I had to change something in my life to make that, like I had to make physical actionable changes to change that, because it's like, oh, just telling myself I'm going to start brushing my teeth. Like, no, I wasn't doing it. You can tell me all day long the benefits of why I should have been doing it, and I would not do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't. So then I changed where the toothbrush and the toothpaste were. I'm already in the shower, taking care of something that I viewed as a necessity that I didn't ever have a problem with. And so I'm like, okay, this is just one more extra step that I would add in the shower, and it was a lot easier. So it became a habit. And the same thing is true. So it's like if you have a hard time showering, I don't know, it could be a traumatic event. People could have very traumatic things based off of hygiene, or people who were maybe abused that involved a shower. Like there's so many things that like, so that's what I'm saying of my perspective changed of like, I look at people that maybe have visible hygiene issues or struggles. I don't want to say issues. I view them very differently than I used to because I have a lot more empathy because I'm kind of like, you couldn't see mine. You could smell mine if you were close enough. That's
kind of like how I am with people on food stamps, because
mm-hmm.
I was on food stamps, and now
but before you were,
now it's just like, I think now I don't judge at all, like anyone, like anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not my place to be. My place is just to love.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, some of these at times are always going to be hard for me. And that's why I wanted to say that 5 tough but worthwhile self-care practices: exercise, having a difficult conversation, facing the things we don't want to admit, doing the things we don't feel like doing, and showering.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are times where I don't want to have the talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a conversation with your child because something's up.
Yeah.
Sometimes just want to go to bed.
But I love that they titled it 5 tough
but worthwhile.
Yeah, so it's literally validating right there in the title that like these, like we're talking about it like, oh, like some of these are like they're no brainers, but like they are tough, they are difficult, but they literally, it's in the title, but they're worthwhile. So maybe that's a challenge that we put out to everybody. If there is one of these 5 points that you feel could help your situation or help your self-care, self-worth, try it for a week. Or if you feel like there's something you're lacking, like me in my situation with like brushing my teeth, if you feel like there's something you should be doing that, is not harmful or really just beneficial, change up where you do it or how you do it. Like you got to, like, quick analogy. I'm a drummer. I've been playing the drums ever since middle school. And there's a couple of different ways to play the drums and hold the sticks, right? There's a full drum kit, and then there's a drum line, things like that. I did all of that. When I was struggling to learn how to play the snare drum, because you play traditional gripped, where one stick is sideways and one is a regular grip. Somebody told me, he said, one hand is always going to be stronger than the other, so we give the other hand something different to do, and then that way it's not less than the other one. They're both doing what they're doing to the best of their ability. So that's what I'm saying, is that like the left hand was never going to be as good as the right hand when it was match gripped. So then you put it in traditional grip, and then the left hand can't be worse than the right hand because it's doing something different, but they're both accomplishing the same task. So that's where I'm saying, if you've got something that you need to be doing to help your self-care or help your self-worth, if it's not working out the way you want it to, change it up. If you want things in your life to change, you got to change things in your life. So I love this, man, dude. I'm glad you had this topic. I love freaking Dino for bringing this stuff up.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you. You always have some good stuff to talk about.
You'd think I'd be a lot wealthier. So if you guys want to read the article that we talked about today, the 5 tough but worthwhile self-care practices, you can follow the Comey link on our Instagram. Go down to the section of from the show, follow it from there to psychology.com, and make sure you check out mountainops.com. Use code DADBODS at checkout, get 20% off, and then help a family who needs help.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. It means the world to us. If you have a chance, please give us a 5-star review, as well as write something a little pretty in there so that we know that you know that we know that you care. Anyway, have a great day, guys. I can't do it.
Dude, that was good. I like that. You can't redo it without laughing. That was good.